For this episode of Basically Detectives, we're going to quickly go over episode 4 of I'm a Killer. Hello lambs, back again for another episode I see. As usual, this is Basically Detectives, where we don't tell you the whole story, we just summarize it for you, while we give you our fresh opinions on it. I have just watched episode 4 of I'm a Killer, and I have to say, this episode, I don't really care for it. But before we begin, don't forget to go to patreon.com/loveandmurder, where you can become a member of our Patreon for just $1. But we do tell people that the best bargain is the $5 and up. You can also go to our website, murderandlove.com, to hit up our store, buy some of our awesome merch, use our SOS system. The SOS system, what's nice about that, for those of you who don't know, you can actually leave us a voice recording. You can tell us how you're doing, ask us how we're doing, give us ideas for episodes, or just give us a shout out. Anyway, I digress. So episode 4 of I'm a Killer deals with Miguel Martinez, and I wasn't a huge fan of this episode, really. It kind of had trouble keeping my attention. Most of these episodes that I've watched were like, oh, I can't wait to see how they show the story from different angles, and I can't wait to see what really happened, and how everybody thinks of each other in the story, and blah, blah, blah. This one I wasn't really too into. The one guy involved in this said something about turning crosses upside down. There was a lot of that on the police reports and people talking about what happened. The one guy was going over like the scene of the crime, and he also confirmed that there were some crosses turned over. I don't know, that seemed kind of like added on to me. And I know that these are supposed to be stories being told by people, but I don't know, the way that they were telling this story, a lot of these little details just seemed like at a place and not really. The story didn't flow very well, like in previous episodes. I mean, here on Love and Murder, you'd think an episode where people get killed with axes would be crazy, but not really. It as usual, other than the typical, it's horrible that this had to happen to people. It's horrible. So I'm trying to remember certain parts of the story, and the more I think about this episode, the more I realize like I was kind of lost during it. I know the one guy, they play back what Miguel says about him later on in the episode, and the guy's like, oh, I don't remember it that way, but that happens to most people, or something like that. And usually when people hear what the other criminal in the story has to say, they give some kind of alternate take on it, or they explain why that's wrong. He was just kind of like, yeah, I don't remember it happened that way. It might have been this way, but, This episode didn't hold my attention. I'm trying to think of things to say. We come to this microphone fresh with our thoughts, and I could watch the episode again, but that's not what we do here at Basically Detectives. So, yeah, my call to action for you guys is more, what did you think of the episode itself, as opposed to what did you think of the story and the case? Because I don't know, the quality of this episode doesn't seem to be the same. It's crazy that, they went into a room, saw that some guy was just sleeping on a couch, murdered him with an axe and a knife, and then walked into a room and murdered I think it was his daughter, or little sister or something, I can't remember. He was, if I recall correctly, the man who was murdered was 20, and the girl they murdered was 14. So I guess they were brother and sister? I can't remember, to be honest with you. And then there's also some kind of weird, angle to where either the guy that they killed or the guy whose house they were breaking into, he was like a predator or something? I don't know, I can't remember, to be honest with you, but it seemed so, non-important to the story. Supposedly, that came up in Miguel's lawyer, I think it was Miguel. I think his lawyer said that the guy was a pedophile. Maybe they tried to use that for the defense. I honestly can't remember, but I feel bad because I don't really know what to say, other than the episode was kind of confusing and I couldn't really keep track of it. And I promise you, I was paying attention. I was trying to watch it, but it just wasn't gelling for me this time around. So, yeah, definitely tell me what you guys think. How do you guys think the episode could have been told better? Or do you think it was told just fine? Maybe it's just me. One of the interesting things about the case, though, Miguel was apparently the youngest person in Texas to ever be on death row. And that's not like a spoiler or a surprise. It's literally in the description of the episode. I thought that part was interesting. I'm really hoping that the next episode is a bit more constructed better story-wise. And I know that there is like a story element to it where they don't want to give away exactly what happened at first. They want the convict to tell us their side of the story and then have the victim talk and then have law enforcement talk. Well, I think it's law enforcement and then the victim. That way we get a complete view of what happened. But in this case, I don't think it was told very well. I'm kind of, again, having trouble remembering certain parts of the episode and what happened. So, yeah, tell me what you guys thought. How did you feel about, not necessarily the story, but the episode itself? And hopefully next week will be a better episode. I did watch through this whole show years ago when there was only like 1 or 2 seasons. I can't remember any of these episodes though. Like I'm watching it, it's as if I'm watching them for the first time. That's all fun and well, but this particular episode, nah. I can't stress enough how disappointing this episode was for me the more I look back at it. So I'm just going to let you guys tell us what you think. Again, please go to patreon.com/love and murder. You can have a Patreon, $1 tier. Please do the $5 tier to get the best bargain and to tell us that you love us. Or you can go to murderandlove.com, like I said, use the SOS system, and then tell us you love us there. Huh? Alright. I will see you guys next week. Lock your doors at night.